don't know. That shit was tripping, man. How y'all doing though, man? What's the deal? What's the deal? PolitiKan the
Man,
Podcast. We here. We here with all the homies, man, pulling up, talking about this election. It's been crazy already. I actually feel kind of relieved now that it's over, man, and now we could just sit back and watch the mayhem that's gonna ensue. Cause
How y'all doing though,
it,
man? What's the deal? What's the deal?
somebody got an echo. I don't know what that was. But yeah,
watch.
man, finna get it popping. Everybody want to introduce themselves real fast? Starting with you, Jaketti.
What's good? What's good? What's good, y'all? It's the one and only y'all educated. You know what I do? I unleash the inner lion that lives inside of you. Shout out to the squad, brand of encouragement, PolitiKan Podcast, running wild, and focus on the future. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Cherie.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Miss Cherie. I'm a guest today. I'm usually from the Vocal of Truth podcast, here hanging out with the fellas from the PolitiKan Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Ronnie representing the Politic Inform and HNS 420 Hard Learning Podcast. Y'all know me, I'm back saying crazy shit. So
So it looks like Biden got Arizona, Biden got Nevada. He's sitting right now at 164, six electoral votes away from victory. It looks like we finna get Trump out of here. Do you think that this race is over? Do you think that Biden actually beat this guy? What is your thoughts on what's going on right now?
um,
Now, who won?
Go ahead,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Well, for me, I don't think it's over quite yet. Now, we know Trump is not going to let this go easily. Now, Biden, I definitely think will have the electoral votes, but Trump already was trying to sue one of the states to stop counting because he specifically wants his team to go over the ballots or review them. I've never seen a political party do that. So he's going to try everything he can to kind of pause or try to stop the ultimate victory. But I definitely think Biden has it. The numbers don't lie, and they've already officially claimed those states.
Hell, I'll believe it when I see it, man. I don't believe shit. Like I don't. My whole view on this is on orthodox. I think it's all a scheme. It's all a plot. It's all a plan. You know, Donald Trump is not out of this race by no means, and I would not be surprised if he makes a comeback at the very end. I know the swing states were like, last time I checked, the swing states were going 50-50 with him, but I know certain swing states have more electoral votes than others, so um, it's going to come down to the end, but I ultimately don't think that we're going to get this clown out of here, except for lack of better words. I think he's still going to win. I'll believe it when I see it.
My outtake on it, man. I'm a little confused on the whole thing of how you have Arizona, California, and Nevada, right? Already done. Well, California was set in stone before we were probably at like 60%. We were already set in stone. Like, boom, give it a Biden. But Pennsylvania and some of these other ones that were done along, like he was already at like, Trump was already at like 90, it was already like 90% voting already in, and you still haven't gave it to him. Matter of fact, he was 63% to Joe Biden's 30 something percent, and they still haven't even gave him Alaska yet. They still haven't even gave him his little 6 points for Alaska. So to me, what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at the numbers, and I told my wife this, I was like, I bet you, all the little votes for Trump, they holding out on him. Let Biden get up to 270 first. Call it quits. Because if that's not the case, why haven't they gave him Alaska yet? It's 63% in Trump's favor, but you haven't gave him Alaska yet. It's only 6 points, but you don't want it. But you got Arizona and Nevada already done before Alaska, before Pennsylvania, before Georgia, and all these other ones. So you trying to hurry up. Boom, Biden got it. Biden wins. It's a done deal. And then that's when Pennsylvania and stuff gonna come out and be like, okay, we counted all of our votes.
I think certain states
That's crazy.
Certain states are set in stone to go.
Pennsylvania,
California. You mentioned California earlier.
like California
they're going to
is
be
a
a blue
Democratic state.
Regardless, whoever is in a Democrat is going to get the California vote. They already know that. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool. But why haven't you gave the boy his Alaska one yet, though?
Oh no, I was just elaborating on California was. I don't know about that.
Well, I want to answer the reason why they're not giving him Alaska. They don't really want to give this to Trump, to be honest. And the way it's shaping up, because initially Trump had the popular vote. Now Biden was always ahead in the electoral votes, as far as what I was watching last night. To be honest, Trump won't be good for international business. Now, a lot of businesses in the U.S. back Trump, but he's not good for international business, and he's not good for international politics with the U.S. With a lot of the plans that Trump has, he's going to politically and trade-wise isolate the United States, and we will no longer be a superpower. They're not trying to have him in for another term to actually let him do what he wants to do. That's my thought on it.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I already knew. I was like, ooh, they setting this up, like for Biden to take it, even though
but
Biden's gonna take it anyway. But you could tell, like, if I'm still trying to figure out why hasn't he got him his little 6 points.
They're not giving him nothing. Nothing. Don't give him nothing.
He been at 214, or he been at whatever the number is, 214. Since I woke up this morning. I'm like, dang.
Since last night, they have not given him any.
He ain't got 1 point. No, actually, he was at 214 and they dropped it down to 213. They're like giving this dude no points.
None. And before we logged in here, I was watching CNN Live. So they were zeroing in. So Georgia, they're thinking Georgia might flip because right now they have Trump in a slight lead. But they're zeroing in on like basically all the black counties like Atlanta, Savannah, and those areas where they're largely Democratic in those areas. So they're hoping that that's going to give Biden the votes to flip it. So they're not trying to, even if Trump is in the lead, they're not trying to give him anything, especially if he's within 1%. They're not trying to give it to him. They're not.
That's why he was like, give me Pennsylvania yesterday. And they're like, nope, you ain't getting nothing.
Like, you ain't giving nothing. You didn't got enough. He didn't got enough because last year he didn't have the popular vote. He had the electoral votes. They let him slide last year and let him go ahead and get in. He tore stuff up. He came in, wrecked everything, and now they're like, no, get your butt out of here. Nope.
Take him out. What's your thoughts, Caleb?
I don't know, man. It was crazy to me how Trump came out last night and just looked up and said, oh, I won already, but this is a fraud anyway. And it's like, which one is it? Like, it can't be a fraud and you won. Like, that's a contradiction within itself. If it's a fraud, then say that it's a fraud and contest the system. But don't say I won and that they cheated me on my victory. Like, nigga, how did you win? Half of the states ain't even declared yet. The polls closed 2 hours ago on the West Coast. How did you win already? Like, this nigga is ridiculous sometimes. I don't get it. Like, did you guys see him when he came out and gave his press conference talking about he had his lawyers at the ready and he was ready to go? And he's going to file every motion possible to fight this if he loses?
Now, the funny thing, he could fight, but what's funny is he can't contest the electoral college. I've never, even if people contest the popular vote. I have never seen the Electoral College reverse what they've already given.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
That
other
will,
funny part.
but if he takes it into a lawsuit, then it goes into the House or Congress or Supreme Court. It becomes a court case. It's no
Mm-hmm.
longer an election. So then it's the popular vote no longer matters, or the Electoral College. It's about who wins the court case. It's about lawyers.
All right.
It's about who proves, and then judges decide on who, if he retains or not. Like, I don't really understand this process, and why does that exist? Like, who wrote that in the Constitution? That's stupid as fuck. Like, that shit is
Exactly.
dumb.
And not only that, that was why I had a severe problem with him hurrying up and sliding that Republican judge into the Supreme Court. So he
Amy
wasn't
Coney Barrett.
worried. Yup. He
Hmm.
he hurried up and slid her in because that gives the Republicans more of an edge in the Supreme Court. So the only hope is that there are Republicans that will be actually on his side because they're
I
still
know.
required to uphold the law, regardless of who slid them in.
Didn't
Hey,
they
this is like
win?
the best game of chess I ever seen in my life.
Yes, it's
It's
crazy.
like it's like Game of Thrones, but like for real though. Like this shit is
Literally.
crazy. It's one seat, and everybody doing all this shit to get to that seat or get next to that seat, and that shit
Mhm.
is ridiculous, man. So do you think that Trump will concede because concession is not required by the Constitution? It's just kind of a tradition where once the one party reaches 270 electoral college votes, that the other party concedes. But Trump already said 2 months ago that he's not conceding. So if you don't concede, then what where does it go? Because we've never seen that. Every president, as far as the last 40 years, 50 years, have just conceded once they lost the race. Like, what the hell happens next? Like, this shit is crazy.
Yeah, I
To
mean,
be
if he doesn't concede, it's definitely gonna be a problem. That's like, especially if it's never been done before. But you got to think about half this country, regardless. If you just go to the popular vote and the numbers, half this country sides with Trump.
Hmm.
Half the country sides with Trump. So if he concedes, half of this country is going to be with him. So that tells you about the gap in the country. People talk about possible things happening or things escalating. Um, Trump, one thing I've always said that people always get it twisted. Trump is not the first racist white president in America, the first racist white Republican president in America. We've had a lot, handfuls over handfuls over. He's just so bold and he says stupid shit and he says shit out loud. He says shit that they're thinking out loud and he's so bold. So Trump, he does things differently in that aspect. So him conceding, not non-conceding, is going to be something different, and that can cause an uproar, and it could cause his people to react because the Trump support, a lot of the Trump, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of the Trump supporters have been acting crazy. So it's going to be crazy to see what happens next. If he does go through with that.
So, Cherie, are you familiar with the process of if the president doesn't concede?
yes. So with concession, that's more of a formality, like you were saying. It's not required,
Hmm.
but it's a political courtesy. So basically, he's just going to come off like what he is, rude and obnoxious. But concession doesn't mean that a new president can't be seated. They will forcibly remove him if a new president is, in fact, elected. So it doesn't prevent the new president from coming in on the date that they're supposed to come in. He just looks like a big baby and rude, which, well, he is. He's a sore loser and he's not going to take it well. But he's not, like, with him not conceding, the people that are with him, like any other election, most people are very emotional about the candidate that they chose. But what most people do is after the election, after they lick their wounds, everybody joins together and just say, okay, now we have to back this new president. We've gotten over the fact we lost. We got to back this new president and get it together and see what this person is going to do. So at the end of the day, it's not going to stop a new president. He's just going to be a sore loser and just not do the political um, the politically polite thing to do.
Heck
Okay, I
no,
just want
man.
to make one quick. I got to make one quick statement because well, how would that as a country work out? Because we have more population in blue states, but then we have more red states than blue states. So if something like that comes to contention, there's more states that are red than blue. So if it comes to some type of civil unrest, wouldn't the majority of the country be on Trump's side? How would that work if would you forcibly remove the president while majority of the country is on his side and agree with him, or as the population, but geographically, majority of the states will be on the side, so you will be removing their president forcefully. That to me could lead to some real civil unrest when they talk about civil wars and all shit like that. Like if you go try to remove Trump without the court cases, without it actually playing all the way out, like what were you saying, Jaquetta, though?
I'm saying, man, like I said, this is like a sports game, man. Now we talking about removing them. So now we talking about the Michael Jordan and the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to shake hands at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like no sportsmanship. I kind of, hey, to tell you the truth, I kind of like it. I'm like the whole Detroit thing didn't shake Jordan's hand. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It ain't a part. You don't have to shake your opponent's hand. You don't have to like kick me out. Then kick me out. Let me go. But at the end of the day, he gots to go. I mean, like how Ronnie was saying, he ain't the first racist president. 45 ain't the first racist president. 46 is gonna be a racist president. He racist. Like they all racist, you know. And so like yeah, ain't one race. Like at the end of the day, I think what Trump has done to America is he revealed how horrible our love walk is with each other. That's all he really did. He just showed how, as Americans, we are so divided. You know, where your love walk is horrible. Like if somebody voted for Trump or somebody voted for Biden, you ain't friends with them no more just because they vote, because of their opinion or whatever the case may be. So that's what I think. I mean, he ain't good. Look, he thinks it's unfair. I'm still asking the question, why is Alaska put up there? So it's not like at the end of the day, like the Alaska is not like as simple as it is. Is it really fair? It is not fair because he's killing them in Alaska and they still won't give him his points. This is like the freaking Patriots deflating the ball and we still giving them the Super Bowl. So
well, just to piggyback off that, my deal is
so they came out and they talked. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, he
Go ahead.
wasn't saying anything when they kind of cheated for him last year. So I feel like this
but
is
no
karma.
one. Yeah,
but
well,
he gonna fight it. He gonna fight it. He need to go. He need to go.
Oh,
Or we know 2024 Kanye gonna be the going for president, but
not Kanye. Colin, you kind of break it up.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a little delay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, they're talking about the Russians. The Russians are meddling in this election again. They're talking about that they're on social media with fake polls, making fake pages from U.S. media sites putting up fake. declare that Trump, and that's not for real. For real,
You,
can you hear me now? Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We can hear you. It's just a delay sometime and
You hear me
breaking up
now?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Government hear you. That's why, bro.
They tapping in.
Trump trying to shut us down.
They're trying to shut us down. But what were you saying?
For
We were
real.
talking about the Russians.
Yeah.
See, every time you're
Yeah,
talking about the Russians, they
the
meddling.
Russians
Hey,
have been
okay, no more
using
Russians.
disinformation, creating accounts on fake. No more Russians, not the
Damn.
Russians, the people. Can you hear
Yeah,
that?
forget the
Should they
Russians.
stop that? Nah.
Yeah, stop it.
Well, they're
Oh, shit.
basically they're creating fake accounts and putting out fake polls to kind of skew the perception of what's going on really in this election. And then the post office came out and said that over 7%, 7 to 10% of the ballots didn't even get counted, and that they couldn't get it done in time. So when you talk about like Philadelphia and Pennsylvania keeping it open till Friday, they had a point because now 10% of our ballots didn't get counted because the post office couldn't get it done in time. So how do y'all feel about that? Like, is that cheating? Is that fraud? Because Trump talked about the mail-in ballots since day one.
So it's an attempt at cheating. So that was why Trump was doing all this stuff, playing with the mail months in advance with the postmaster general and having them not deliver mail every single day and things like that and cutting funding. But when it comes down to actual cheating, since whoever stepped in and made the postmaster general turn the mail delivery back into normal and make everything okay for mail delivery for these mail-in ballots, I don't think it's necessarily cheating at this point, but I think it was an attempt at cheating. And then there was still a system of checks and balances in that case because there was a lot of people, like if they were running late, they still, as long as they had their ballots postmarked by election day, that was fine. As soon as you send it into the post office, it gets postmarked. So that they could still count it in. It doesn't matter when it gets delivered, they could still count it, especially if they're still counting ballots. But the other thing was a lot of people could have just went to early voting locations or even on election day dropped it in a secure drop box. So there's options.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
so do you think
I
Trump
think
has a point by complaining about Pennsylvania?
What was his complaint?
That now with Pennsylvania and stuff. That now with Pennsylvania and stuff that they're still doing the mail-in ballots now to pretty much get those like Philadelphia and all these other ones where I think Trump's son came out today and was like, yo, it's already 92% of the votes in and we should get Pennsylvania. And while you over here giving 78% of the votes in other states to either or, why now we at 92, you don't want to give me Pennsylvania yet? Something like that.
Man, this shit reminds me.
Yeah. And then
I think it's all a scam, man.
Go ahead.
I think it's all a scam.
Oh wait, my bad. You going?
Nah, you can go.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
It reminds me of when I grew up. I grew up on WWF wrestling, and WWF wrestling was exciting as a kid. The shit looks so real and it looks so believable, and you're just excited. And you grow up, and then you realize and you find out that it's completely scripted, and they rehearse this shit, every day. That's why it looks so perfect. This president shit, all that we've been talking about, I just think that this shit is just scripted. It's predetermined. They put on this big ass show, division in the country. They want people fighting and arguing. They already know what they're about to do, man. They already know what they're going to do. They do this every 4 years for a reason. They got 4 years to prepare for the next shit show. They're creating this show and people falling into this shit. It has been predetermined. Look at all the historical years that was my 37 years of living and I've experienced. The balance
Okay, Ronnie, but to counter off of that, if Trump already knows that they chose Biden, and he said, "Fuck that shit. I'm not finna accept it." That's what right now is that they chose Biden because they don't get that history. It's
that's
like he
part of the
said,
show.
he's basically isolating America, one of these trade tariffs, and that's you know what I'm saying. I don't think that's part of the show. I think that just like you said, Trump got wind that he was out of there, and he said, "Fuck that! I ain't finna just leave. You gonna have to get me out of here. You whatever." He got his own little people militarized, buying up the bullets and the guns out there with Trump flags, pulling up on shit. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Fuck that! I'm finna do whatever I can do to try to hold it here." And I can for that because if that way I wasn't, that's y'all niggas too.
That's the plan, though. They
Straight
want
up.
people.
You trying to
They
close
want
the
people to
system.
react. They want people to act a certain way. That's all part of the plan. They want people to react a certain way. They want they. This is something that they have so much time and so much resources to make this happen. Like this country is been a shit show for years. It has never gotten better for fucking black people. I mean, people want to say yes, yes, no, no, no. Just because we got a few motherfuckers that made it don't mean shit. The majority of us are at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of our people are at the bottom, and this
Mm-hmm.
country has not gotten better for us. Period. Yes, they don't got us with nooses with ropes around our necks and in concentration camp. Yes, we graduated from all that, but they found another way to do it with the prison system. Why you think the prison system is 40% black, but blacks only cover 12% of the motherfucking country? Stop playing with me. They found out a better way to do it, putting, making us move to the hood, making us, forcing us out of, not selling us houses in certain areas and
Mm-hmm.
not selling black people homes and forcing us to the hood, forcing us to these poor ass neighborhoods and poverty. Of course. Like, come on, it's a different way of slavery. So no, this shit hasn't gotten better. So I don't believe in this none of this shit. This shit is a game. Period.
It is a game, but I have a follow-up question to what you were talking about, Ronnie. So, if y'all don't mind, my question is more so how do y'all feel? I found out that a lot of people who back Trump outside
Go
of his
ahead.
normal racist redneck people, um, there's a lot of minority men who voted for Trump. So, how do y'all feel about that?
For me, I don't. For
I
me,
mean, if go ahead, go ahead.
For me, I
I'll
just
answer after you.
don't. I care less who you voted for. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like everybody got their own opinions. Like some people, like voting for the president is your opinion. Like so, it shouldn't matter who you voted for. I go off of people's love walk. Like it's the same thing as the Nikes and Adidas. Like some people like Nike, some people like Adidas. Okay, cool. I'm gonna bash you. I ain't gonna like you because you like Nikes and I like stripes. Like, but that's where the division is in a country. You base your like for somebody off of who they voted for. Where just because they voted for a certain person, that doesn't mean that they racist. That doesn't mean that they bias or anything of that nature. So I think that who you vote for really don't matter at the end of the day. What's your love walk like? So because I know people that voted for Trump. Like I got a real close friend. He voted for Trump. I know he voted for Trump. And if I need him, he's still there for me. Matter of fact, I called him up and be like, hey, sell me on your boy. Why did you vote for him? And he was telling me his reasons. Now his reasons aren't always my reasons, but I was like, I respect that. We as a country, we stop having the it's okay to have difference of opinions. We all got to be like-minded when it's not like that. So that's my whole outtake on it. Who cares who you voted for? Like, I'm more concerned of like, forget Trump, forget Biden. I'm trying to get Newsom out.
Okay.
I don't know. For me, it was like Biden was a very weak opponent, man, and it looked like the bully versus the nerd. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the time, Biden's biggest sell was not Trump. So many people just want Trump out of power. You know what I'm saying? But as far as turning somebody or swaying somebody one way or another, Biden was never gonna turn a Trump supporter into a Biden supporter. He never was a strong candidate, and adding Kamala to his ticket just basically bought the black vote, because it's like now he's not a strong candidate, but at least we get a black female vice president. You know what I'm saying? So black people get something out of it, even though he's not a real candidate that means anything to us. And then when he goes on the Breakfast Club talking about you, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. That kind of already makes me not want to vote for you. So now you kind of push me in a corner where I'm like, nigga, fuck you. Now I can't vote for you because you think that you just deserve my vote, and you've done nothing to deserve my vote. If you look at your history, you actually don't deserve my vote. You deserve nothing from us because you've done nothing but put policies that incarcerated us. You know what I'm saying? You help with mass incarceration of people in America. And you know what I'm saying? It doesn't deserve black people's vote. So I don't know, man. For me, Biden was a very weak character. And if you were on the fence, you know what I'm saying, I could see how you could lean towards Trump because, you know, Biden, he was just not it. But I still vote for him. The Democrats got a vote. But I am not a registered Democrat. I'm no party association. And until we figure out our own party, because it's an affiliation, it's not a membership. So when you decide to be a Democrat, you're affiliated with a Democrat. Unless you hold a position within the DNC, then you're not a Democrat, you're just an affiliate. It's an affiliation. So I choose to affiliate with, and I'm going to join the party. I'm going to be an actual member of a party where I'm helping campaign, and I'm a caucus. I'm going to participate in the parts of government that's a member of a party is not just one. That's an affiliation.
It's crazy how my mic got detached right after I was saying what I was saying. I didn't do nothing to my computer, and my voice got shut down and my picture got shut down. All of that.
You was about to say some major stuff there, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Bro.
I had to.
Go ahead.
I got to go back and
before they cut you off again.
Let me make a comment. I'm gonna make a comment about what y'all was saying earlier. The reason why people trip about or you know, friendships are ended, I don't think it's just as simple as Nike or Adidas. That's something fun. This is personal, because if someone is agreeing or on the side of a blatant racist, a blatant person that doesn't care about another race of human beings, someone that's as cold as Trump, if you're endorsing somebody like that, how can I fuck with you personally? We are not alike. We don't have the same beliefs. We don't have the same morals. If you're going to sit up here and endorse a man like this, I'm not endorsing Biden either. It's not even about Trump or Biden. I'm not wrapped up into this because I know both sides got some bullshit. They both racist ass white men. People forget Biden passed the 94 crime bill. And of course he's going to say now that, parts of that was a mistake. You know, part of it was a mistake. You know, I plan to eradicate it or to go against it. Now, of course, he's gonna say that, but he did it. He fucking did it. He did it. Like it's people take it personally because it's like if you're a person that's against, for instance, you know, what R. Kelly did, and are you going to get caught endorsing? Or do you want to be associated with somebody that's okay with what R. Kelly did? Do you want to be associated with somebody like that that's okay with it? Not about just playing this music, but sitting up here and say, well, he had his reasons, or well, are you going to associate yourself with someone like that? No. So that's why people take it so seriously. If you're going to sit up here and endorse Trump, who came out and said racist ass shit about Mexicans and said and done racist shit in his past to black people with his people not renting to blacks back in the 70s and 80s, like, come on, man. That's why people take it so serious. It's not that serious. I can't fuck with you if you're seriously going to sit up here and tell me Donald Trump is a good candidate. I can't.
But at the end of the day, I get what you're saying. But if you're picking out of the two, like how you said, they both racist. So let's say you pick you don't pick Trump. You don't pick Trump because he's racist.
So
you pick.
Hold on, I got a question.
You froze up.
I know. For me, when you say, is there one side or do you just pick one side or the other? Is there no like middle ground? It's either you got to be anti or pro Trump, and those are basically the two sides of America right now. Is there no middle ground?
Well, there can be a middle. I mean, with Biden, I can accept someone saying, okay, that was 25 years ago. Maybe he had a change of heart. If you want to hold on to that ideology, if you want to, okay, go ahead. I'm just not believing it, but I'm not going to be mad at you for that. But Trump has said blatant racist shit out loud into the microphone. He has said this stuff. If you're siding with that, that means you agree with racism. Like, ain't no, I'm voting for Trump, but I get, look, 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, these clowns are cared about their pocketbook. 50 Cent, I ain't trying to pay all them taxes. I'm voting for Trump. Weezy probably got the same. Weezy, he's a clown. He been a clown. He already said, well, police, shoot, they once saved my life when I was 10 years old. So I love cops. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, we can't have these guys speaking for us. I can't associate with 50 Cent or Lil Wayne because of that. Like, what are you talking about? Are you serious? These are your people down here. Just as you got a little paper in your pocket, what about everybody else? That's that crab in the bucket mentality. I hate that shit.
But going back off of what you just said, that's Lil Wayne's opinion. He got saved by a police officer.
You cannot be serious.
He's not downplaying a police officer because he got saved by a police officer.
No, you're not getting it. Okay, that can be your story, but you don't out publicly and say that in a movement where children, black parents are losing their sons and daughters. You don't come out and say that, dude. You don't come out and say that publicly. You can say that in your circle, but why would you say that in an interview? You're going against the whole movement when you do that. Why would you say that? Because at the same time, your one experience don't account for all the negative experiences. Out there saving people. That one great experience don't account for all the bullshit that's going to. You can't do that publicly. Why would you do that? Now you're making it seem like this shit ain't a problem when you say that. Well, I love cops. He saved my life.
Why can't he give his opinion?
Wow. That's that.
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you.
He can give his opinion, but why do that? Why do that? Why go to that side when you could stay on this side? Why go there? Why even do that, bro? Like, why do you have no reason to do that? How is he
picking a side? He's telling you his experience, and that's
your experience is not what's going on to the majority of us, fam. With that experience, come on, man. It ain't just about us getting killed. It ain't just about us getting killed. It's not about us getting killed only. What about the harassment and all the things that's done to us? I didn't get killed, but I've been harassed by the police my whole life. Harassed.
I have too.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not just getting killed. It's not just black or white. There's so many things that are happening in between.
So okay, help me with my experience then. I have been harassed by police officers where I was putting my key in the door and an officer pulled me in the back of the car and took me to the crime scene where there was a shooting. That's one of my experiences, right? Mm-hmm. I have had a whole bunch of harassment experiences by police officers, but I also have had an experience by police officers where I was almost put in a gang file because of the color I was wearing, me and my friends, which we have no gang affiliation whatsoever, we were at a park playing basketball. But I know people that are police officers that came up and was like, yo, they're about to put you in a gang file. What were you doing today? And I told them, and I was never put in a police file.
Did you just say an experience? Is I hear that right? You said I had an experience. Is that what you said?
I have experiences.
No, you just said an experience. Okay.
I have had multiple experiences with cops where a cop has also pulled me over. Me, myself, I was eating gummy bears. He pulls up like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't ever do something like that again. And he breaks down why he did what he did. So so within my experience, help me with my experience where, yes, I have been harassed by cops, but I also have had cops take me out of a gang file. I have also had cops go, you know what? Hey, simple as getting out of a speeding ticket.
Go tell that to Tamir Rice's parents. Go tell that to Michael Brown's parents.
Did you hear what I said?
Go tell that to all these people's parents.
You're not hearing what I said.
Go tell that to George Floyd's blood. They don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear what good cop did to you. They don't want to hear that. Come on, that's being insensitive as a black person. You know, why would you well, George Floyd's parents are parents and brothers and sisters and kids, or probably Lil Wayne fans. They get on and watch their favorite rapper say some bullshit like that when they just watch the police sit on their daddy's neck for 9 minutes. If you don't stop, like, no, you can't. You got a responsibility as a celebrity, a black celebrity at that, and that's the problem. It's always my experience is. Come on, man.
You ain't answering my question.
What's your question?
You went left.
What's your question? Like, I don't understand the question.
I didn't say about George Floyd and them. I asked you to help me with my experience.
How am I going to help you with your experience?
To answer my question, you didn't answer my question. You went to George Floyd. Help me with my experience. I ain't talking about.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
I'm talking about my experience.
How do I help you with your experience? What are you talking about?
Because you went straight to what happened to George Floyd. You didn't even address what I said.
So what do you want me to address about it? What do you want me to address about it? So what I'm
saying is everybody has different experiences. And with everybody having different experiences, that doesn't mean all cops are bad. You're publicly coming out going, all cops are bad. And then when somebody stands up and says, no, not all cops are bad, but not all cops are good, then I'm wrong?
I don't want to hear that. Not all cops are bad. Crap bullshit. Because if
how is it bullshit?
Because let me explain to you. Let me explain to you. And I know cops. I'm not saying every cop. I'm not saying every cop has bad intentions. What individual? I know cops. I went to school.
You're making it personal. When you say
what I'm saying is, I'm not saying every individual cop is bad. First of all, it's a system, and no one wants to address the system. The system of things allows this shit to happen. The system allows these murders to occur by cops, and they get away with it. They don't have no consequences. That's what makes everybody fucking mad. The system allows them to get away with it. As far as individual cops, like I said, I know I'm not saying all cops have bad intentions, but what I will say is, just because you didn't pull the trigger don't mean you're fucking innocent. If you're in there and you know some bullshit is happening and you ain't fighting against the shit, you just as bad as them. You're accessory to the shit. You Ray Charles to the bullshit, and you going and living your life in the hills and buying your house and having your good life, and you know this bullshit is going on in your fucking precinct. You ain't no good cop. I'm sorry. I don't care. Everyone's afraid to say that, but I'm not. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not, and I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback off that because I'm coming from a different area. I come from the hood in Chicago, and as a woman, most people think women are like allies to cops, and maybe I'm one of the few women who've been accosted by cops myself. So I have not been protected. I do not trust the justice system as far as cops or the courts, because they have both failed me in some serious situations. So just because I know some cops and I also understand both sides of the coin. Okay. So on one end, none of us deserve to be accosted unnecessarily, but they always have a reason. And that reason is it never makes a difference. Like, for example, I had a situation where I was stopped by a cop. When I say blocks, he was 4 blocks away, and I stopped at a stop sign. And then I made my stop and turn. He swore up and down I didn't stop. I had to sit there and listen to this man belittle me, talk crap about me. I had my kids in the back. I couldn't say nothing because all I wanted to do was get around the corner and go home. And this cop was alone. And I've had plenty more bad experiences with cops. And yes, there were experiences where there might have been some decent ones. Yeah, there's supposedly good cops and bad cops, but at the end of the day, they all blue lives matter. So at the end of the day, they have a code where they're not going to trick on each other. They are going to cover for each other. That's why in a lot of these cases, they have additional cops that are bringing charges against these additional cops who may not have been involved in shootings or killing of unarmed black men because they were accessories, because they helped cover up the crime. So I definitely agree with Ronnie with if they're accessories to this stuff and they're covering up cops that they know did something that was against the law or whatever, they are just as bad. Whether or not there's good cops or not, that's besides the point. Everybody has their own personal experiences with cops. But at the end of the day, when it comes down, like just to bring it back to talking about the election, a lot of cops back Donald Trump because he talks about law and order. But law and order, he only cares about when it comes to minorities, when it comes to the black and brown community. He don't want the cops to stop white people and these white extremists. Case in point, that young man from Indiana who shot a couple of people at a demonstration. They didn't do anything. Exactly. They didn't do anything to him. They let him go ahead and do whatever he wanted to do. And then they let him go all the way home before they tried to come get him. So when I say cops like that, were those good cops at those demonstrations? No, by no stretch of the imagination. Because at the end of the day, they let him handle the crowd that they were going to go ahead and roughly handle. And a lot of them are don't get it twisted, especially when they're in black and brown communities, they are very jaded by the streets. So they will treat every black person, whether you're a man or a woman, they will treat every black person like a criminal. They don't care. So when they get to that point, once they get jaded by the streets, they are no longer a good cop. They are rotten. I will tell you, if they don't kill somebody today, it will be the next day sometime in the future because of their mentality. And some of them, to be honest, they need to utilize their unlimited vacation time and take some time and seek some mandatory counseling, because out there in those streets, they do get jaded and they do encounter a lot of things. And I get it from their perspective. But at the same time, they need to understand, just like we try to understand individual cops as people and understand that every cop isn't bad, they need to understand that every black and brown person is not a criminal, isn't a gang member. And they don't do that. So why should I understand that every cop isn't bad if they can't understand that every black and brown person isn't a criminal or isn't out here doing bad? Do you know? I can't remember the cop who told me, but this was years ago and I never let it go. A cop told me that they will stop black men on the dot. You could be by yourself, you could be fine, but they will stop you, especially if you're in a group. If there's 2 or more black men in the car, you will get stopped, period. Point blank, no reason. They will pull you over in hopes of finding that you have a warrant, because they automatically assume that black men have warrants. So you can't tell me that all cops are good when they have these racial profiling policies. They're told to racially profile. So no, I don't think all cops are good cops, because if you have this policy where you'll stop a group of black men, I remember riding in a car on my own and seeing a group of black men, and it was very clear. One guy was driving and all the other men in the car were like professionally dressed. So that tells me one guy was driving all his friends to work. A cop pulled him over. He was law abiding. He was driving. They weren't doing anything wrong. Guy pulled over for nothing more than being a group of black men in one car. So no, you can't tell me that there's good cops when they have policies like this, and this is an unspoken rule.
So
Like,
my question is this.
All right.
If my question is, you're talking about racial profiling. Don't we racially profile each other?
Oh hell no! No, he didn't just say that.
how?
Bro.
No. Like,
Oh
like,
man,
you wanna-
no,
like,
he didn't.
like,
Just,
you
oh,
already shooting me.
Can you
You already
elaborate?
shooting me.
Hello, let him talk. Let him
Oh.
talk.
Like,
Elaborate.
you-
Elaborate on that.
like, don't we talk. I'm not saying all cops are good. I'm not saying that. There are horrible cops out there. But just like how my sister was saying, the Mighty Lioness was saying that the cops don't give us a chance, and they already right off the back go, hey, y'all educated you, because I'm a black man at the end of the day. So yeah, they're gonna look at me and go, boom, hey, he got to have something on. He got to have something on. He bad. But we do the same thing. And so my question is, you don't racially profile? Like, that's just my question. You don't racially profile. If I say, and I just keep it, because sometimes, yeah, we like to go A to Z, and sometimes we don't want to keep it simple and say, hey, you know what? Because I racially profile.
bro,
So-
what the hell are you talking about? We don't have a gun or a badge. You're not sworn to protect and serve.
Once
What are you
again,
talking
I just
about?
want to get the.
That's not even
I
a
just
good
wanna
thing
get
to
the-
say. That's a horrible comparison. We don't
You
racially
don't-
profile.
But
We don't
do
have
you
the power
racially
to
profile?
kill and get away with it. We don't, even the gangsters. If you want to go back to gangsters, they
answer
kill
the
and they go to prison. They kill and they go to jail.
Question. Answer the
Yeah, that's a
question.
retarded
but do
question,
we
my
racially
brother.
I'm
That's
trying to get
retarded.
the clarification,
Oh
because what do you mean by do we racially profile? Like, if I see a black man, I'm not threatened by a black man.
Thank you. What are you
All
talking
right,
I'm
about?
not
I'll just
threatened
make
by-
it as simple
I'm
as
not
I'll make it as
threatened
simple
by-
as possible. If I say
No.
the name Jose, what comes to your head?
What?
I grew up. I came of age
If I
in the
say the
Mexican
name Jose,
neighborhood.
what comes to your head?
A guy that was in my old neighborhood that was probably selling tacos. Like, what you mean?
That's racially profiled.
That's not racially profiling.
Uh,
Jose
it really-
selling tacos.
No.
Jose selling
That's
tacos.
not
That's
racially
not
Because
profiling.
racially
I
profiled.
really knew a guy
That's
named
not- okay.
Jose that was selling
Okay.
tacos.
Okay.
Bro, this is
Keep it going. Keep it
you
going.
on some. I
You-
don't know
like-
what you are, bro. You on some
And
other
also,
shit.
it's a
You
whole
can't
difference.
break
If I
it.
say,
If you can't keep
if I
it
say
as
Jose
simple as
selling
that,
tacos,
Jose,
are you
That's
gonna
racially profiling.
Jose selling
That's called a
tacos.
stereotype. That's a
It's not
stereotype.
Right, a stereotype versus
Stereotype.
racial profiling is different.
It's a
Because
stereotype.
Jose
Those
is
are
not
two
gonna
different
get
things.
killed
What are you talking
for
about,
selling
bro?
tacos.
That's a
But
stereotype,
guess
not a
what?
racial
If
profile.
they look at a black
Tacos.
man and say he's a
Yeah.
thug, he's gonna have a reason to shoot you down.
Let me
Why does
speak on
Jose
that.
have to sell tacos?
Bro,
Let me
come
speak
on,
on
man.
that.
Oh my god.
So what she was speaking about with
What you-
association. She is associating her knowledge of Jose with selling because that's my personal experience. When I think of Jose, I've
Exactly.
encountered Jose's that sell tacos. I've went to places that the establishment was named Jose's Tacos. So when Jose pops into my mind, I associate it with a
Exactly.
Hispanic guy that sells tacos. That is not
And corn.
that is not
I mean, it sounds crazy, but I did
Racial
for real come of age
profile.
in a Mexican neighborhood. So you can say
Sounds
racial
taco.
profiling,
That
but for real, it was a guy named Jose that sold tacos and corn in my neighborhood. I grew up in a Mexican neighborhood. Like, September was Mexican Independence Month. We're on the corner. Most of them was swinging their flag. So I legit, that's where mine is not a racial profile. It's legit because I came of age in a Mexican neighborhood. So for somebody else, it may come off as racial profiling or a stereotype, but legit in the neighborhood I came from, that's what it was.
All I'm saying
that's
is
what it
we all
was
have
for a lot of
different-
people. Just
we
like
all have. All I'm saying is we all have different experiences, and the Mighty Lioness's experience is different than my experience. And there's nothing wrong with her experience. I'm not here to say she is wrong because she knows she grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood and she knows the dude named Jose. So when it comes to her, she thinks about that taco dude, Jose. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is you shut down somebody else where the love walk has to be checked because you shut down me because of my experience with cops. So when I say cops are good, or Lil Wayne says cops are good because of his experience, you go, oh, he's a dumbass because of his experience.
I never said
that's
he was
his
a dumbass.
Experience.
I said he was a coon. That's what I said.
Whatever. You calling him out his name based upon his experience.
And I will call anyone
out their name. But if somebody calls you out your name based upon your experience,
that's cool. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You call me out my name. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck with anybody.
If you want to know the problem with America, the problem with America is we can't have different experiences.
Well, one thing I want to
before we move on, I just got one statement. I understand what you said. I just say that national experience, and when you're doing it publicly, where you have influence that is detrimental to the Black community, now you're being selfish because you're no longer caring about the community in which you're damaging. If that's your personal opinion, then that's cool and fine, but you don't have to go use your platform to amplify something that will be detrimental to the Black community as a whole. That's the problem. Okay, you feel that way, have the right to do unified, and when you come out and do that, you showed white people that there is no unity within
there is no unity because somebody can't speak on their own experience.
And that's what I'm saying. That's a horrible, selfish mentality. Even with the whole that whole thing right there, it's like not all cops are bad. Well, then not all Bloods and Crips are bad. All three are gangs. The cops is a big ass gang. So if you're gonna say not all cops are bad, not all Bloods and Crips are bad. Stop profiling all of them. Stop profiling all of them. Stop us assuming every Blood and Crip is bad. Stop assuming that then. If we're gonna go there, why would you want to be a part of an organization that routinely gets away with killing Black people? How can you be a good cop if you want to be a part of that organization? I cannot be a part of that organization. Why would I want to be a part of such of a horrible ass organization?
It's the same.
You're associated with them. That's your people. Right. You're sworn to never snitch on your brother as a cop. You got your cops back 100%. And if you do, you end up Christopher Dorner. Come on, stop it.
Exactly.
But if we have a Blood or Crip friend, isn't that the same?
Hold on. Let Cherie speak. She got to say something. Go ahead.
Well, actually, it was a question for Jaquetti. So my deal is this: if you are a cop and you would one of your white cop brothers kill a Black man in cold blood, and you know that man wasn't armed, wasn't pointing anything at anybody, was trying to run away, like we had Laquan McDonald in Chicago, ran away, wasn't pointing nothing at nobody, but he was running away. He was resisting, but there was no reason to kill. Would you back that man up? That's the point we're trying to make. So even if people have positive experiences with cops, the point we're trying to make is you're taking away from the greater struggle that all other Black people are having with cops, where you either getting very harassed, jailed for no reason on some trumped up charges, or killed just because you're assumed to have a weapon that was never brandished. You know what I'm saying? So it comes off very insensitive. Yes, everyone is entitled to have their own experiences. We're not saying that, but be sensitive to other people's experiences. Other people have not had positive experiences, and clearly other people have not even survived some experiences with cops. So it's called being sensitive to that situation, especially as a celebrity saying, oh, well, I can't relate to that because I haven't had a negative experience with a cop. You mean to tell me you lack empathy for the rest of the community that you belong to, who has had poor experiences with cops, who may not have survived their experiences with a cop, or who may be locked up on some trumped up charges? Because trust me, I have witnessed cops try to plant drugs on people. I have witnessed them trying to just snatch somebody up because the person they were after actually got away, and they just snatched up the closest person. They didn't look like them. They didn't have the same outfit as them. So once again, it comes from a different perspective. But do you mean to tell me that just because you have a positive experience that you can't understand and empathize with those who have not?
I never said I couldn't. I said I have positive and negative. If at the end of the day, my work shows for itself. You go on my page, I talk about the negative experiences, but I'm also not going to sit here and just go, all cops are bad. Because
that's not the point, though. That's not the point. Everyone seems to want to become in defense of the cops. Like, I don't understand what's the rush to be so defensive. The system is, once again, we always ignore the real problem and the truth about it. The difference is they say, well, we kill each other. We kill each other and we go to fucking prison. We don't get away with that shit. These motherfuckers kill black people and get away with it. And the system allows it. That's the whole thing. The system allows them to get away with this shit. They allow them to get away with it. And when you're under that window, if you're a cop and you got cop buddies that's out here doing this, and like I said, if you still going home to your 5-bedroom house, to your house in the hills and your great life or whatever it is, while you know this motherfuckers out there getting killed that don't need to be killed, you are not a good cop, period, point fucking blank. Just because you ain't pulled a trigger, just because you ain't George Floyd, Gavin, whatever the fuck that white dude's name was, you saw the other 3 cops sitting there, they're good cops because they didn't do it? No, man. It ain't always going to happen that way where it's 3 right there sitting there. But sometimes it's several cars that are involved. It's several people that know about the shit, that know about all this corrupt ass shit that's going on, and nobody's saying shit. And it's a tough situation because you can't say shit. You go against them, you get blackballed. You lose your job. You lose your career. You lose your life. Christopher Dorner. So it's a tough position to be in. It's a tough position to be in for sure.
So before I was cut off again, like I said,
we do got to move on though.
But
move on, man.
On the last note, if a cop stands up and says something about it, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
I feel it, man. I guess that's your association, man, and that's the way you see it. And we can't tell you that it's right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? We just know that as a community, and man, it's hard. You can't wait top of the mountain, and when get your mental community, whether you want to, as a whole, we can't worry about our own personal, experiences in this. We have an overall agenda, and that's to get rid of the system that's detrimental to the community. Period. So,
hell no, my personal experience
and ratified. Regardless if there's personal experience, positive or negative, it needs to be ratified. And I will not shed any positivity on a system that does not need to exist anymore. But as far as this threat of civil war, we really got to touch on that before we get out of here, man. So, do you really think that a civil war between the red state and blue states would be something that is popular in the Democratic states, but there is more Republican states in America than there is Democrats? So do you think that a civil unrest is going to reach a point where people taking up arms and actually trying to harm people is actually going to? Is it just an intimidation factor where people actually just anything on something's actually going to come up?
Well,
Go ahead.
Oh, well, for me, I think a civil war is already in action, and it's not necessarily about between red and blue states. It's literally against races and the people that they don't like around here. And that's just being real. This has been brewing and been going on for the last 4 years. So whether I think, and I don't know about in California, but in Chicago on election night, they shut down everything because of they were concerned about the results. And we have specific areas that are very racist, very pro-Trump in Chicago, even though Chicago is largely Democratic. There are certain areas where we know we've had racial tensions in certain areas over these 4 years where there were virtual race riots. So that's already going on. And if Trump loses or if Trump wins, it's already going to be an issue. Now, the funny part is, I don't think it's going to be anything from the minorities. If something happens with Biden, it's going to be Trump and his supporters that's going to cut up, because the person that supported them and their racism and their very blatant attempted race riots, that's going to be the problem, because that's going to shut down again, and they're going to have to go back into hiding, which they're not going to like. They love being out and proud with their racist antics. So that's going to be the group that's going to act up, to me.
Yes, and to directly piggyback off of that, it's like hate groups like the KKK. Skinheads, if they still exist, other, racist white groups. These are definitely Trump supporters. These are people that's rallying around him. What other group has a known racist hate group, like, and are allowed to exist? Like, what black people got like a racist hate group? Like, are we gonna act? We're not gonna act up if Trump wins. We accepted that shit 4 years ago. It's crazy that we're even talking about this. It's like when racist white people don't get their way, they want to act up and act crazy. Oh, we're about to go riot and kill. Why? Because Trump lost, and his blatant display of racism can't be at full circle anymore. Like, what is that? Like, what does that say about everybody? Like, that's the only race that's allowed to have that known racist hate group and still exist here in America. They're going to act up in race why. It's possible, yeah. Like Sherry said, it's been brewing for a long time. We're low key having it at a low scale right now. Little stuff here and there. Remember that string of lynchings a couple of months ago? Throughout the country, stuff like that is going on. It's happening more. The shit that's not being covered. So yes, Trump loses. It's a possibility that they could go nuts and try something. But I'll tell you what, in today's world, I don't know. I think it's a little different as far as, the defense. It's not going to be easy for them to do what they did years ago. It's going to be tough if something like that breaks out, and it's going to be bad for everybody, because it will be a lot of bloodshed and a lot of lives lost. So I hope it doesn't come to that, to where it's going to happen at a big scale, but it's definitely brewing. There's racial tension in this country. It's not about red or blue state. It's about racist and non-racist motherfuckers. What side are you on? Ain't no gray area to it. Are you racist or are you not? Do you fuck with racist people or you don't? Period.
Agreed. Jaquetta, you got a smile on your face. What you on?
And y'all ain't ready for this way of thinking. But I just go with, man. My reference book says they're gonna be wars, rumors of wars. Wars, rumors of wars, and so if it happens, it's gonna happen. Wars, rumors of wars, and then it also says this is just the birthing pains. So it is going to get a lot worse than what it is. That's just because this is the world that we live in. So it can happen, man. And like y'all saying, what side are you on? That's all I got to say about that. Wars, rumors of wars. It's already been laid out for us. So, and it's just the birthing pains. It's going to get a lot worse than what it is right now. But at the end of the day,
I was talking about red, when I was talking about red or blue states, though, I was talking about like population. So let's say it's 20 blue states and 30 red states. With the 30 red, hey man, it's more of us. We want a president, and y'all forcibly remove him. What if they want to say no? Oh, that's our president, and basically still invoke that power of Trump and saying Trump is their president, even though this is Biden. Deal with that, which are red state majority. There's no Biden's your president. Then how do you deal with a scenario like that? Because wouldn't the power of the system basically mean nothing to the people at that point because they're still going to follow Trump and treat Trump as their president?
I don't think so. So in that situation, just like in other cases, we've had other Republican presidents with people who really supported them and really backed them, like George W. Bush. But then again, he did have 2 terms. Have we ever had some? We've had some people who only had 1 term. I really don't think that. I think they'll eventually get over it. But like I said, their overt racism, their usual tactics that seem to be okay under Trump's presidency won't die easily. But I think, like any other election, people will lick their wounds and go ahead and just kind of go with the flow under the president that's elected. Because one thing about most of these conservatives, they believe in the system, whether or not it goes their way or not.
Okay, but that usually goes with concession. If the president doesn't concede, then why would you? That's why the tradition of concession exists, so that when your candidate says, "Oh, I lost, I concede," then it gives you that mental release, like, okay, let me accept this other candidate that I didn't want. But when your candidate doesn't concede, then you stand behind them and say, well, we riding this until the wheels fall off. And I think that because Trump is not going to concede, that we won't have that, because that basically easy handover that we would get if he was to concede. And that's the only reason I say that is that I don't see America saying Biden is my president, while Trump is saying, no, I'm contesting all of this. I think that Trump, until all this is so clear.
I get what you're saying. Like, they won't have a sense of closure if Trump doesn't concede. But the concession is once again, that's something that's more of a formality. So he doesn't have to concede. But when that next president is sworn in, they're gonna have to let that go. So whether he concedes or not, that's nothing that's even official. Once those votes are in, whether he concedes or not, whether he admits to defeat or not, those numbers don't lie. And at the end of the day, they can deny, but on that day in January, when the new president is sworn in, they're gonna have to let that go. They're gonna have to. So either if they can't get that official closure from him giving a concession speech or admitting defeat, because a very proud person will never admit defeat like that man is. They won't get the immediate closure then, but they're going to have to get it down the line. So.
Man, I don't know, man. This is giving me a headache with everything that's going on. I don't know. I was just looking at the poll results and just seeing how he's like right there from winning, and for some reason I just can't believe that it's going to happen. But Trump, him not conceding him not conceding, that's not just him not. That's just it's not regular. Like that right there is more of a big deal than what we think it is. Like that's going to be. It's like taking a bully out of a park with a bunch of little ass kids. You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be worse than what we think it is. And I hope that that's just a rumor, or I know he said it himself, but I hope he says a lot of shit. I hope he was just bullshitting when he said that, but I just don't want to see it happen.
I would just say at the end of the day, man, whoever's president, Biden,
crazy
Trump,
shit. So
it's all about your love.
The votes. Mm-hmm. So they're saying that Pennsylvania will be counted until Friday, and then they're gonna probably need 2 to 3 days after Friday to count all the votes. So they're talking about dragging this thing into early next week before we get an official result on who's the winner or not. And we definitely have to fix some type of. We would fix the system this way that it should be 6-7 days after election before you get the results of the election, especially when 7 to 10% of the ballots weren't even counted because of the system that you got in place.
How does this happen before?
Count everything and still 7 days election to still give.
Are you talking about the length of time of waiting for the election result?
Mm-hmm.
The length of time of waiting for election result. Huh?
We usually get concession.
To be honest, we normally
as
get
soon
those
as one of the candidates then the other candidate concedes. Wesley is dragging on until early next Monday, Tuesday.
Well, since they're holding on to Biden's last 6 electoral votes, to be honest, we haven't had this issue because most of the time we have instant gratification. We usually have these elections where it's called the same night, and this is tightly contested. Yep. This is a hot race. This is like a blow for blow boxing match, like so. It's so close, but the deal is it's already pretty much sold up for Biden to me. Even the highly contested, just with the ones that he's already in the lead on, he already has the electoral votes technically. But yeah, Trump is gonna fight him on every step. So even without a concession, most people concede once those electoral votes are locked in. Since it's not 1,000% locked in for Biden to have the 270 electoral votes, there's no reason for Trump to concede. And to be honest, if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't concede either. Until those votes are signed, sealed, and delivered, no, you're not going to get a concession. And most of the other times in other elections, not in recent history, unless we want to go all the way back in the day where these votes took days or weeks to count. And we're talking about like in the beginning. Other than that, that's the only other time where we had to wait this long for election results with technology and everything going on. But due to the coronavirus and people doing mail-ins, we had to kind of go old school, and it's going to take some days, especially with this hotly contested contest.
I don't understand. It looks like Trump is, Biden looks like he's ahead with Nevada, by a nice little margin. And like Jaquetta was saying earlier, with those 6 extra electoral votes that Nevada brings, that puts him at 270. So, what up, Alvin? He said Friday the 13th. He said we're not finding out shit till 5 to 13. Damn.
Nah, not that long. They
That's
gonna
like
baby
9 days
that,
from now,
and they gonna
bro.
make it epic. They gonna make it
Yeah.
epic.
It looks like Biden has it locked up with Nevada, so I don't understand what's the point of the rest of it if that's what determines the presidency. You know, I don't see what's the holdup.
What I'm looking at is only 75% of Nevada reporting, and it's still showing as close. That's from looking at the Google thing I just looked at. It's 75%, and they're about within 1% of each other. So with 75% only reporting, and they're within 1%, they're not about to just
Right.
call it.
That's really close. Yeah, Nevada. That state could go either way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not looking that way. A lot of people it's 50% that like Trump for one reason or another, and then there's 50% who are like they need him out, and yeah. Callum frozen again.
Yeah. Let it go. Let it go. It's frozen.
I'm just, but I'm with you. I'm with Sis on that. Like I ain't giving up nothing. You won't even give me
right, like
all right, man. Well, let's get some shout outs before we get out of here, man. Wrap it up.
Who gonna shout out for? All right, I'll go. Shout out to the Politic Informant. Everybody has played a hand in helping us get to where we are today. You know, shout out to my staff at HNS 420. Everybody that's had a hand in that. You know, shout out to the fans and the viewers, man. Shout out to Yaja Kedit with his motivational speaking, and Miss Cherie with her insight from Chicago. That's dope. Like I've always wanted to hear some insight from somebody from out there. So thank you for that. But shout out to the fans and the viewers. Thank you guys for watching us, and continue as we grow. You guys are gonna see some great things out of us.
Shout out to Brand of Encouragement, PolitiKan Podcast. Shout out to my boy Ronnie, the new member of the fam, Cherie. Shout out to Focus on the Future, Running Wild. Shout out to everybody that is making a difference, that ain't waiting for no president or no governor or whatever the case may be. They in their community making the difference themselves. They being the difference, not just talking about it. So shout out to everybody that's doing that.
Well, I like to shout out you guys for welcoming me on the show today, and for some of the viewers that follow my Vocal Truth podcast that tuned in tonight. Thank you guys as well. Shout out to y'all. Big ups and everything. And that's all I got.
Yes, sir. Oh, what's in that cup?
I know, huh?
What's in that cup? You inspiring me. I got some Jack just waiting on me.
This is sparkling wine.
A little something.
Frozen.
As we exit out,
do you want to build a snowman?
Let me just leave them off what they say. Do your own research, man. We out of here. StreamYard thing, man, killing me this whole damn time.
Tripping
man.
us, yeah, they tripping.
Ever since I said Russians, man.
Man, don't ever say Russians ever again.
Don't say it. Putin is shutting you down because he is Trump.